Hi SD fans and welcome back. In this video I'm going to be trawling back through some of the past few weeks and answering some of the questions that we've received on our YouTube channel and via email. And we'll also be looking forward to see what 2021 holds as the year goes on. For those here for the first time, my name's Mark, I'm the Editor-in-Chief of the Scuba Diver media brand, and welcome to the Scuba Diver YouTube channel. Remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our future videos, and ring that bell so you get notification of the latest releases. And don't forget to check out below how you can get a free digital subscription to any of our magazines. That's Scuba Diver UK, Scuba Diver Australia and New Zealand, and Scuba Diver Destinations, which is our US and Canada edition. And if you want to get your hands on a print version, we've got a special subscription deal for our YouTube followers as well. Now, let's dive into the video. It has to be said, 2020 is a year best consigned to the history books. Thankfully, with the vaccine rollout continuing apace, there's at least a light at the end of the tunnel for things getting back to some semblance of normality in 2021. This is one of the longest periods I've been out of the water in 30 odd years. My gills have properly dried out. I find myself longingly looking at any body of water I see when I'm out walking the dog. To be honest, even the water butt in the garden is starting to look increasingly inviting. We've got lots of exciting projects planned for this year. As soon as we can get back in the water, we've got an ever-growing pile of dive equipment that needs rating and reviewing. Future trips abroad are a little thin on the ground at the moment, with travel being so up in the air, but warm water will definitely feature later in the year. In the meantime, I'm looking a little closer to home to get my fix. The nearby coastline of North Wales has its usual siren allure. The World War I wrecks of Scapa Flow are calling my name for yet another return visit, and I might finally get to tick off some of those South Coast shipwrecks that have long avoided me. My 14-year-old son Luke will be joining me for a dad and lad diving weekend down in the southwest when we head off with TV presenter and Go Diving Show favourite Miranda Krestofnikoff, along with a motley crew of UK photographers, to go and play with the friendly grey seals at Lundy Island. Suffice to say, someone is absolutely bouncing with excitement about that one. And the teenager seems well excited as well. As well as our own videos, we're teaming up with various people around the world for content. You'll have already seen the first few videos on the site from Marcel Vandenberg, who will be sharing his many years of knowledge as an instructor trainer and giving hints and advice for anyone who is looking to go pro in the diving industry. As soon as we are able, we're going to look forward to crossing the pond and hanging out with James Blackman from the Divers Ready YouTube channel. We've already done some stuff with James in the past, and we have a cunning plan for some future collaborations. Though to be honest, I can see the actual planning stage descending into beer fuel chaos. But hey, some of the best diving ideas have been dreamt up in the pub. There's plenty more in the pipeline, so watch this space. Right, let's have a look at some of the questions we've had in the comment section on our YouTube channel and in some direct emails. Right, Alan Ferreira, he said that he agreed with my view that freediving fins should remain in the domain of freediving and not be used for scuba. But then he asked, what is your opinion on using freediving wetsuits for scuba? Now, he actually answered part of his own question anyway, because he said that they're harder to get into. Now, yes, we know that with freediving. The suits, obviously the way that they're designed is for minimal water flushing and everything, so they have to fit very close and tight. The inner lining is obviously different to the material on normal scuba diving wetsuits, so it actually sticks to your body. So they are harder to get into. Generally, you have to slather yourself up with some type of lube so you can slide yourself into it. Obviously, the benefit is when they do fit you, they are quite tight fitting, minimal flushing. So actually, that would keep you warm on a scuba dive. And I do know people that dive in freediving wetsuits, so it is possible, but they are harder to get into, as we said. The other thing, Alan, that I say is they are generally not as robust as scuba diving wetsuits. Just the material that they're made of is more susceptible to getting split if you've got fingernails. Not that that's a problem for me, but if you've got fingernails or you've got sharp jewellery on or anything like that, it can split and cut the wetsuits, or you can stretch it. And obviously for scuba diving, potentially that could be a problem, especially if you're doing wrecks or caves, caverns, something like that, because it's not going to handle the hammer that normal diving entails. But you can dive in a free diving wetsuit, it's just it isn't going to last that long. And bearing in mind, usually expensive, probably not something you want to be doing. What we got next? Annabelle Duardo, he's got himself an Apex VX1 mask with UV lenses and was asking, should I do anything to avoid fogging on this mask? Now, I've had one of these masks in one review, and I just gave him my usual routine. So that's what I do with any mask when I get one on test, is I give it a good clean on the inside and the outside lenses with toothpaste. The grainier the better, I find. There's all different types of toothpaste, but the ones that are grainier I find work better. Put a nice little pea-sized dollop on either lens, or in the middle of the lens if it's a single lens mask. Give it a really good rub in. Leave it for a little while, give it another good rub in, rinse it off, maybe do it 2 or 3 times, and that should get rid of any surface silicone that's left from the manufacturing process. Now, that usually does the trick, and then when I go diving, it's either good old-fashioned spit, which to be fair, in all my years of diving has never let me down, but in this COVID-19 era, spitting in your mask and rinsing it out in the water that other people might be getting near isn't perhaps looked on so fondly. So use a good mask defog, put a little blob of that in, give it a good rub round, leave it, and then you should be good to go without any issues. I would probably avoid using the lighter trick. Now, I have done this on masks in the past. If I've tried the cleaning with toothpaste and then it still keeps fogging up a little bit, or you've got patches that you just can't seem to stop fogging, whatever you do, I have used the lighter. Now, I know that some people say don't use the lighter, you're going to destroy your mask, this, that and the other. Well, yeah, of course, you've got a flame near a silicone mask, so if you're not careful, you will melt your mask. But I've just done it carefully, where I've just done around the main part of the glass in the middle that you can actually see the silicone burning away. Give your mask a good clean after that, and generally that will solve any issues at all with fogging. I wouldn't necessarily do that with one of these masks that's got these UV protective layers on and stuff like that, because as well as burning off the silicone, you'd probably burn off some of that. So leave the lighter for your, for your lighting your after dive cigarette, which you shouldn't be having anyway because it's bad for you. And just use toothpaste. Give it a good rinse, mask fog, and you should be good to go. What else we got? Right, Giuliano asked, does the Garmin Descent Mark II iDive computer measure your heart rate through the dive? Quick answer, honestly, I don't know. Whenever I've been diving our test unit, I have been in my dry suit or I've been in a wetsuit. So it's not actually been sitting on my wrist. And for it to measure your heart rate, it has to be sat right against your wrist like this, because the heart rate monitor is on the back. Now, when I've done any other activities with it, mountain biking, hiking, etc., the heart rate monitor works very well, and I can look into it, I can see what my heart rate is while I'm in the middle of doing the exercise, etc., etc. Now, having a quick look on the manual, it does appear that it is measuring your heart rate while you're doing it, because it tells you just need to make sure you've got it against your wrist. But as to whether you can actually look back and see the log of how it looked throughout the dive, I honestly don't know. So the next time I'm going diving with it in warm waters, I'm going to try that. Now, our friends over at Deeper Blue, they got one of their freediving writers to test it from a freediving point of view. And she was actually raving about the ability to see her heart rate before the dive and then throughout her free dive. So it obviously is measuring your heart rate while you are on a dive from a freediving point of view. So I presume that it will do that with diving as well. But it's just whereabouts you can actually then see it, because I don't think it actually keeps it there until you come back. But having said that, like I said, I haven't dived it yet where it would be able to monitor it while I'm on the dive, so it wouldn't be able to show me anything in the stats at the end anyway, because there's nothing to see. So watch this space. Next time I go out for a dive in warm water, I will be trying it. But yeah, it does seem to do it, but just remember you need to roll up your wetsuit sleeve so that it goes directly onto your wrist. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, here's one for beards. Brian Niss asked for a recommendation for a mask that works with a beard. Now, I don't have a massively Grizzly Adams beard. Showing my age a bit then, because all these youngsters will be going, who's Grizzly Adams? But anyway, look it up, Google it. I've just got this little short goatee. But I find, I've done mask tests for years, and to be fair, I've found all masks leak a little bit when you've got a beard, especially with something like this, and it is just an annoying trickle. If you want to avoid it, there's various different things I've seen people employ. Some people put a little smear of Vaseline across their top of their beard so that when the mask is on it seals against there and you don't get any gaps. I find that a real faff and it's a mess. So what I tend to do when I'm having a dive is I just shave a little tiny bit here under my nose so that when I put a mask on, the seal goes right under there and it seals round, and generally I don't have any issues with any trickles at all. If anybody out there has one of these massive bushy beards and everything and has any suggestions on any particular masks that they've tried that work, let us know and we'll pass it on to Brian. What else we got? Right, John T was asking if there are any liveaboard offerings for mixed couples where one dives and the other doesn't. Now, if you're it depends where you are, I think, to be honest with this one, John. If you are in the Red Sea, for instance, a lot of the boats there, you are out to dive and maybe snorkel. So if you've got a non-diver on board one, they're pretty much just going to be enjoying the scenery, chilling out, suntanning, reading a book, watching movies, that sort of thing. Now, there's worse things to do than being out on a lovely luxury boat, out in the middle of the Red Sea, fantastic scenery, watching dolphins go past you, etc., etc. But if you want to go somewhere where there is far more for non-diving partners, you're better off looking at places in the Caribbean, for instance, and increasingly those out in Southeast Asia. Because what I've found is, for example, the Aquacat in the Caribbean. We've been diving with them in the Bahamas several times over the years, and they are very well set up for if they've got someone who is a non-diver on board. They've got their little boat that they tow behind, and they use that to go off beach combing. They go over and do little island hopping in the afternoon so you can go exploring and stuff like that. So the divers can go diving and the non-divers can do that, or the divers can join them as well if they don't want to be diving. They've also got kayaks. I increasingly see stand-up paddleboards now being on board so that while the boat is at anchor and the divers are diving, the non-divers can go out and enjoy those surface water sports. I remember being on the Law in the British Virgin Islands, and they had a couple of fast ribs that they used as dive tenders, but they also used it to take people bodyboarding and water skiing and stuff as well. So there's lots of options there for them to do some water sport style stuff. So I think you just need to see where you want to go and then look at what facilities they have on board for non-divers. But like I said, it is becoming far more like widely accepted to have stuff on board like kayaks, stand-up paddleboards and that to keep people occupied. That said, it's a perfect excuse that if you can get them trapped on a liveaboard for a week, that you can maybe cajole them into actually doing a try dive, and you might get them hooked, and then that's a winner all round. Got any burning questions you want to ask? What would you like to see on our YouTube channel in the future? Leave your comments below, and if you have a question, fire away. If we can't answer it, maybe someone in our community will be able to. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can grab a free digital subscription to our magazines in the description below. As always, stay safe. And if you're one of the lucky people who live somewhere you're able to get out and dive, enjoy.